Meeting of the Community Development Block Grant Steering Committee is called to order. At this time, we're going to call for public comment, and there being none, move on to item 3, public hearings, receive a report, hold a discussion, and make a recommendation to approve the Community Development Block Grant 2026-2027 Action Plan.
Thank you.
That's Mary.
This is the only item on this agenda today, so thank you for making time to be here. We have requirements that we have to meet for HUD for our annual action plan, and so this was a critical meeting. So again, thank you for being here today. We are required to develop an annual action plan for all of the program years for the CDBG funding that we receive. And so this meeting is to share that information with you. The annual action plan is about 60-some pages long, so I did not print one out for each of you, but it's made publicly available, and that's part of HUD's requirements. So it's on the city's website, and it's also out on Sarah's desk out front. So if somebody wanted to come in and ask for it, I can print them one or something like that. But it does have to be made available to the public. And then we have a public hearing, which is this meeting, and then this will also go to City Council for their adoption and for a public hearing as well in August. So we are in program year 2 for this 5-year period, and our allocation is $282,342, and this is about a $4,500 increase from last year, so that's good for us. You will also note, for those of you that have been familiar with the program, we used to have a Section 108 loan payment that we had to make out of our CDBG funding. That last payment is being made in September, which is huge for us because it was quite a lot of money. So that will go back into the program. It will be paid off and we'll be done with that. So you will see within your staff report, there's a breakdown of how the funds we are proposing those be used this year. We are suggesting that the majority of that money that's coming back from the loan payment go into the minor and emergency rehabilitation program. So that dollar amount comes to a little bit over $182,000. In the past few years, we've only had about $40,000, $50,000 there, and we've only been able to help between like 5 and 10 people. And so we've been expending that money super fast. By the time the applications came in, we had already essentially spent the money. So this year we're hoping to help about 35 individuals. They have to be owner occupied and meet all of the requirements for HUD to get that assistance. But that's a huge improvement that I know staff has been looking forward to. We are proposing that $42,000 go into program administration. That's about 15% of the total allocation, and per HUD we're allowed to go up to 20%. So we're staying under what their allowable expenses for administration. That includes inspections of staff when they go out to the houses. They have to track all of the hours for the code enforcement projects that they do within the LMI, the low to moderate income areas. I have administration pieces such as writing the plan and assisting with that, and so that helps to cover our staff costs for this program in particular. The next item that you'll see is a substandard structure relocation cost. That is new, and it is an allowable expense that the city has never used in this manner. You may be familiar with a few of the situations that we had in the city, such as the Denison Inn and the Marvin Gardens apartments out on 691 and 91. There was a fire there. We've had situations where the structures are not habitable. People should not be living in them due to fire code, building code, health and wellness, safety, unsanitary conditions, and we're really struggling with how do we make sure those people have a roof over their heads when we have to do that. And so this is a larger conversation, but this is at least a starting point, and we need to develop some policy around when people are displaced, how do we how do we make sure that there's some type of assistance in place to make sure that we're not creating a greater unhoused population. And so I'm going to use the Denison Inn, for example. Staff, the fire department, and the police department really worked with all the social service entities when that structure needed to be shut down to make sure that they had places to go, the families, the individuals that were there. There is a gap, as I'm sure you're all aware of, in the social services, in our shelters and things like that. And so we're trying to do our part to a small degree. I would anticipate that $1,000 increases, or at least that's my hope. I don't know, that's a council decision, and that's a recommendation of this board as well to council as to what you would like to see that be increased to. That being said, we still have to develop policy around that. We need to know $100 per night per individual, those kinds of things. How many nights? You all know, just like we do, 3 nights at a hotel does not get somebody on their feet. So there's just a lot to think about, but how we go about doing that is going to be a conversation that I have with City Council on what that could look like from a broader scale, programmatically, like long-term. So that's where that cost came from. That's a need that staff has seen for a while, and so I'm happy just to get it in the plan, and then we'll go from there. The last item for the allocation of funds will be for code enforcement, and that's for a salary of a code enforcement officer. It typically covers a salary and a little bit more. So we're allowed to use that to cover cost of one of those salaries. Do you have any questions on the use of funds for me?
No, I had a question about the loan payment.
Mm-hmm.
So this $282,000 is with no loan payment?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's the amount you're looking at being able
Yes.
to use? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You guys have any questions?
No.
Are you good?
I'm good.
Okay. If you'll,
So do I call for a motion?
or open the public hearing to see if there are any comments.
Oh, so now would be the time for a public hearing. If there are any comments, and there being none, we would ask for a motion.
I make a motion that we accept.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion passes. And so now what, can we
You're good.
adjourn?
Yes.
Do we have to make a motion for that?
No.
No, okay, well, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
That was quick.
She so glad that you